Murdering the country. That is that's a phrase that really sticks in your throat a little bit, doesn't it?
Mm.
It's not a metaphor I came up with, and honestly, it's not something you expect to see in, a standard diplomatic cable.
It's an incredibly heavy accusation. I mean, usually when we talk about a government murdering a nation, we're discussing war crimes or
Right.
genocide, something on that scale, not tax policy or digital regulation. But here we are.
And what's so strange is the source. It's not an opposition party leader or a rival nation.
No, it's coming from Elon Musk.
So we're looking at a full-blown, high-stakes, verbal brawl between one of the world's most powerful tech moguls and, the highest levels of the Spanish government.
Oh, yeah. The cast of characters is extensive. You've got the president, the vice president, the minister of justice. Everyone is getting their hands dirty on this one.
It really is.
And it's such a fascinating case study because on the surface, it just looks like another social media spat.
Right. We've seen Musk argue with politicians before.
Exactly. But if you look closer, which is our job today, this is actually a pretty significant geopolitical clash. It's a stress test between what some are calling techno-oligarchies and the whole idea of state sovereignty.
That's the core tension, right?
Right.
It's the kind of story that makes you wonder who actually holds the power in 2026. Is it the person elected to run the country?
Or the person who owns the town square where everyone talks about the country.
Exactly. So we're going to deep dive into a detailed report by Culte that tracks this whole escalating conflict as of this past Friday. We need to figure out how we got from, a seemingly normal conference in Dubai to accusations of treason, tyranny, and murder.
And we really need to look at the specific laws that sparked this fire. Because underneath all the insults, and believe me, there are plenty of insults, there is a very real, very dense policy debate happening about how nations regulate the internet.
Okay, so let's start with the escalation that happened this Friday, because that's really where the rhetoric went from just heated to, nuclear. This is the murdering claim.
Right. The timeline here is crucial. On Friday, Elon Musk didn't just post some generic meme about government waste. He directed a very specific, very personal attack at Yolanda Diaz.
And she's Spain's second vice president and the minister of labor.
That's her.
And looking at the specific phrasing, Musk claimed that she hates the Spanish people, which is, a wild thing to say about a sitting minister.
It is.
But then he took it that step further we mentioned. He accused the government of Pedro Sánchez, the prime minister, of murdering Spain.
And that choice of word, murdering, it's so deliberate. It implies intent. Ruining a country could just be incompetence.
Sure.
Murdering a country implies a deliberate, malicious destruction. It frames the government not as a political opponent, but as an existential enemy.
But looking at the timing, this clearly wasn't just a random Friday morning outburst. It lines up perfectly with Diaz's trip to New York City that same day.
Context is absolutely everything here. She was on Musk's home turf, essentially. She was in New York meeting with the city's mayor, Zohran Mamdani.
And she wasn't just there for a photo op.
No, not at all. She was making a very public case for what she called comprehensive regulation of large American tech companies.
She wasn't exactly subtle about it either. She explicitly told the press, "I left X. That network is now a place of hate."
Which is, that's a profound statement for a vice president to make. She's delegitimizing the entire platform. She's basically saying, I, as a government official, cannot be there because it is toxic.
So when you have a high-ranking official flying to New York and telling the world that your product is a place of hate that needs to be reined in.
Yeah, you can see why the owner might take that a little personally.
It just escalates the whole feud from a policy disagreement to a moral one. She says his platform is a vehicle for hate. He says her government is murdering the country.
It's the difference between saying your policies are wrong and you are evil.
And once you introduce evil into the conversation, compromise becomes pretty much impossible.
It does. But to really get why the tension was already so high before she even landed in New York, we have to rewind to earlier in the week. This didn't just start with the Newark trip. The fuse was lit in Dubai.
Okay, so this is the origin story of the week. Tuesday, Dubai, at the World Government Summit. President Pedro Sánchez is there.
The World Government Summit is a huge international gathering. It's where leaders go to talk about the future of governance, that sort of thing.
And Sánchez used that global stage to announce a new package of measures to regulate digital platforms.
And I think regulate might even be too soft a word for what he was proposing.
Yeah, I read through the proposal, and these are not just guidelines or suggestions. These are fundamental structural changes to how the internet works in Spain.
They're massive. And it's right after this announcement that Musk brands President Sanchez a tyrant and a traitor to the Spanish people.
Traitor, there's another one of those words. It carries so much historical weight. I mean, a traitor is someone who betrays their own nation. What exactly was in that proposal that would provoke that specific accusation?
Well, there were three main pillars to what Sanchez announced, and each one of them kind of attacks the current business model of social media giants in a completely different way. The first one, and maybe the most socially impactful, was a proposed ban on social media access for minors under 16.
And we should pause on the logistics of that. We're not just talking about a checkbox that says, I promise I am 16.
Well, absolutely not. To actually enforce a ban like that, you'd need, what, biometric age verification?
Yeah.
Uploading government IDs?
Exactly. It changes the whole architecture of the internet in Spain. It effectively ends anonymity for everyone. Because to prove you aren't a minor, you have to prove who you are.
And it totally disrupts their data collection model. If you cut out the 13 to 15-year-old demographic, you aren't just losing users today, you're losing the habit-forming years.
It breaks the whole hook 'em young strategy.
Yeah.
But the second pillar, I think this is the one that really keeps the tech executives up at night. Sanchez proposed establishing criminal liability for platform executives who fail to remove illegal or hateful content.
This is the game changer. Historically, if a platform hosts illegal content, the company gets fined.
Right, maybe a big fine, but it's just a cost of doing business. It comes out of the profit margin, the shareholders take a hit, but the CEO still flies private.
Exactly. Sanchez is proposing shifting that risk. Under this law, if you are an executive at X or Meta or Google, and your platform hosts illegal content that you fail to remove, you could be held criminally responsible.
So, potential jail time, not just a fine.
We are talking about potential jail time.
That's like applying banking logic to the internet. If a bank facilitates money laundering, the executives can go to prison. He's saying information should be treated with the same severity as money.
And you can see why that would provoke a tyrant label from someone like Musk, who, views himself as a champion of absolute free speech. He probably sees this as the government holding a gun to the head of platform owners to force censorship.
Remove what we don't like or go to jail.
Basically, it personalizes the risk. It's no longer about the company, it's about the individual's freedom. And then you had the third pillar, which was launching investigations into possible violations by Google, TikTok, and Instagram.
So it's a full court press, it's not just X.
No, but Musk is the only one responding with this level of ferocity.
Right. You don't see the CEO of Google tweeting that Sanchez is a murderer. They usually just send a legion of lawyers in very nice suits.
Musk responds differently because he sees X as an ideological project, not just a business. And this brings us back to the core philosophical conflict here. It leads us right back to Yolanda Diaz's counterattack. She had a very specific label for Musk and his peers.
The techno-oligarchies term.
That's the one.
I want to dig into that term, techno-oligarchy. It sounds like something out of a cyberpunk novel, but she's using it in a really specific political context. What is she signaling with that word?
Well, an oligarchy is a power structure where, power rests with a tiny number of people. By calling them techno-oligarchs, she's saying that these men, and they're mostly men, are not just business owners. She's saying they are a ruling class.
Unelected elites who control the infrastructure of public discourse.
Precisely. And she followed that up with that really defiant statement. We are not vassals of Musk or Trump.
Vassals. We're getting very medieval with the language here. Tyrants, traitors, vassals.
I know. A vassal is a subordinate who owes allegiance to a feudal lord. So Diaz is drawing a line in the sand. She's asserting that the Spanish government represents the people and they do not bow down to tech billionaires, no matter how much money they have.
And that connects to the economic argument she made, too. It wasn't just about abstract power. It was about cold, hard cash. She asked how an ultra-rich elite friendly to Trump can avoid paying taxes in Spain while local businesses have to pay up.
That's a classic, very effective populist argument. She contrasted the techno-oligarchs with Spanish companies that comply with labor rights, pay their taxes, and follow the rules.
Right. Her argument is, why should these foreign giants get a free pass to extract value from our country, our data, our attention, without contributing to the tax base? All while ignoring our laws.
It frames the government as the defender of the little guy against the global giant. And the government seems pretty unified on this point. It wasn't just Diaz.
No, the Minister of Justice, Felix Bolaños, also jumped in after the attacks on President Sanchez.
And Bolaños explicitly called Musk a threat to democracy. And I think we need to really weigh that phrase. If the government officially designates you as a threat to democracy, that justifies almost any action taken against you.
It frames the conflict as totally existential. If Musk is a threat to democracy, the government has a duty to stop him. If the government is a tyranny, Musk has a duty to resist. There is zero middle ground there.
None. And just when you think the battlefield is full, we get a new player entering the chat. And this is where the wider war aspect really kicks in. It wasn't just Musk tweeting.
No, this was the part that really surprised me. Pavel Durov, the CEO of Telegram, gets involved.
And his method was, well, it was distinct. Telegram is huge in Spain, and it's known for being very hands-off with moderation. So Durov didn't just tweet.
What did he do?
He sent a mass message directly to Spanish users.
Like a push notification?
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
A message that just pops up on your phone, bypassing the news, bypassing the government.
Yeah.
He criticized the censorship promoted by the Spanish government directly into the pockets of its citizens.
That is a massive flex of power. Imagine getting a text from the owner of the app you're using telling you that your government is lying to you.
It really demonstrates the unique power these techno-oligarchs have. They have a direct line of communication to the population that the government can't really intercept or control. Musk uses his algorithmic feed. Durov uses direct messaging.
It's a demonstration of force. They're showing the government, we can talk to your people better than you can.
Basically activating their user base against the state.
But I loved how President Sanchez responded to this. He didn't issue a technical white paper or threaten a lawsuit right away. He went cultural.
Like Quixote defense, it was a brilliant piece of political theater.
He reached for the most iconic symbol of Spanish identity available, Don Quixote.
He adapted a famous line often associated with the character. Let the techno-oligarchs bark, Sancho. It's a sign that we're riding.
Okay, for the listeners who haven't dusted off their Cervantes since high school or who might not know the proverb, what is the strategy behind that quote?
The proverb essentially means, if the dogs are barking at us, it's because we are moving forward, we're making progress. If we were standing still or if we were irrelevant, they would just ignore us.
So he's flipping the narrative. He's taking all this abuse, the tyrant claims, the murderer claims, and saying, this just proves I'm doing something right.
Exactly. He's framing the attacks as a badge of honor. They are angry because we are winning. It also grounds him in Spanish heritage. By quoting Don Quixote, he's wrapping himself in the flag against these global, rootless tech giants. He's painting them as the barking dogs outside the gates of Spanish civilization.
It's really solid political judo. But, rhetoric aside, we have to look at the actual fallout. What's happening on the ground in the Spanish parliament?
Well, there are immediate political moves happening. The Sumar parliamentary group, that's the party led by Yolanda Diaz, has registered a motion in Congress.
What do they want?
They want the government to abandon the social network X entirely.
As in, delete the official accounts, just go dark.
Yes. Migrate to other platforms. The argument is totally consistent with Diaz's place of hate comment. If the platform is toxic and the owner is attacking the country, why should the government legitimize it with their presence?
It makes a certain kind of sense. I mean, if I say a restaurant is serving poison and the owner insults me, I probably shouldn't keep eating there every day.
That's the logic. However, sources from within the government, specifically cited by Europa Press, suggest that an immediate departure is not expected.
Oh, why not? If they're so angry, and if they believe it's a threat to democracy, why stay?
It's the dilemma of the modern public square, isn't it? X, despite everything, is still a primary channel for breaking news and official communication. Journalists are there, the international community is there. Leaving might feel good morally, but it could be a huge tactical error.
The fear of becoming invisible.
Precisely. If the Spanish government leaves, they cede that space entirely to their critics. Musk and his supporters would control the narrative on X completely with no official pushback.
It's a trap. Banning the platform looks like censorship, staying on it looks like weakness, and leaving it looks like surrender.
That's the bind. And it brings us right back to that central tension we started with. You have a government trying to assert sovereignty through laws, age bans, criminal liability.
And you have tech platforms asserting sovereignty through direct access to the people and massive economic influence.
And neither side is backing down. Spain is the battlefield right now, but this war is global. We've seen Brazil clash with Musk. The EU is watching the Spanish legislation very, very closely.
Because if Spain successfully implements criminal liability for executives,
You can bet other countries will follow suit.
and if Musk successfully paints the Spanish government as a tyranny and gets his user base to revolt against the regulations, other tech leaders will take note of that power.
It really is a precedent-setting moment. Can a national government effectively regulate a global platform when the owner is richer than many nations and operates across borders?
And can that owner accuse the national leadership of treason without consequence? In the old days, if a foreign diplomat called the president a murderer, they would be expelled from the country by lunch.
But you can't expel an app that's on millions of phones, not without building a great firewall like China, which, brings its own threat to democracy issues.
It is a messy, fascinating standoff. We've gone from insults in Dubai to legislation in Madrid to 17th century literature references.
It's just another week in the 21st century.
Indeed. Now, before we wrap this up, I want to leave you, the listener, with a thought to mull over. We talked about that Sumar motion, the idea of the government leaving X because it's a threat to democracy.
Right.
So here's the question. If a government official truly believes a platform is a place of hate and a danger to the nation, is it hypocritical for them to stay on it? Or is leaving it actually a surrender of the public square?
Yeah.
If you walk away from the place where the people are talking because it's messy or hostile, do you lose your right to lead that conversation?
That is the million-dollar question, or
Oh.
perhaps the $44 billion question.
Chew on that. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll catch you on the next one.